I'm Doug and I sing for The Sleeping, and we are in Canada playing at the Underworld.
Solid. Post-hardcore is such a hard term to define, but also it seems like post-hardcore bands just eclipse other rock bands in terms of passion,
Yeah.
intensity. They match hardcore bands, you know, tooth for tooth. What do you think it is about this style of crossover? Like, there's hardcore and thrash,
Yeah.
DRI, COC. What's it about this style of crossover?
I just think it's the type of intensity that just crosses over to, you know, all types of people. I mean, you know, you think about like kind of like thrash and stuff like that, and it's, you know, it's like I'm a fan, and it's definitely, you know, it's got its own style, but it's kind of more only appealing to one certain group. You know, post-hardcore, you're taking all these, you know, you're pulling all these like influences from, you know, like mainstream rock, from indie, from hardcore, you know, like, and it's just, I think it's like also the timing of like where you came from and stuff like that. Like, you know, I was seeing shows with Boys That's Fire when I was, you know, 14, 15 years old, and that, you know, to me, that was like my band, and I wanted to sound like Nate, you know, from Boys That's Fire when I was younger, like have that scream and that sing and have that same energy and passion, and, you know, that appealed to me. Like, melody appeals to a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I even had a talk with Nate about it, and once we started touring with Boys That's Fire, I was just like, you know, became so close to those dudes. It was just like, it's crazy how such heavy music can have such a melody and like bring people from all different types of music into it, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of it has to, you know, the post-hardcore aspect of music has to just do with the intensity that like people can feel and, you know, detect from like your live show and your lyrics. You know, you can hear the lyrics and whatnot. I think that's a very important thing. I think it comes down to a lot of honesty and stuff like that, which I'm not saying, you know, other types of heavier, you know, one-sided, one-dimensional, you know, like type of music. I'm not saying any of that's honest. I just think it's more appealing to people when there's more like melody and whatnot involved.
How's life in Jersey post 9/11?
I mean, I actually, when I lived in Jersey when 9/11 happened, and I was much younger because I live on Long Island now, but it was one of the craziest things in my life because, you know, being so young and not knowing what's going on, and, you know, waking up one day and, you know, everyone's like, look on the TV, and, you know, it was definitely scary. It was definitely a crazy thing. And actually, like, I lived probably about 45 minutes from the city, and I remember, you know, there's like a mountain, like there's like a big rocky hill where I lived, and like me and like 7 of my friends climbed up it, and you could see the smoke from 45 minutes away. And, you know, it was definitely crazy. I knew some people who worked in the New York area at the time, but then, you know, moving to Long Island, New York, and like, you know, getting older and like finding more out about it, you know, as you progress in age and stuff, I started meeting people whose families were actually in the buildings and whatnot, and that's definitely a fucking trip, like, to see that stuff. It's definitely to like learn about it through someone else's eyes, like to the people who talk about it and whatnot. It was crazy. I mean, it's amazing in a sense how people can come together after such a horrific ordeal, you know, like, I think to me, I admire that in humanity as much as I'm really fed up with a lot of things in this world. Like, you know, we come together when it's needed, and if it just happened that way without the tragedies like that, you know, this world can be such a different place, and you kind of learn stuff like that, especially being so close to it as you get older. Like, you know, you see the good in like such shitty things, and if we could just find a way to like bond together without any like tragedy like that, I mean, I think it could help out a lot. And, you know, definitely being from that area, you learn that. I mean, it definitely was very unified when that happened, and afterwards, you know, people were helping clean up and all that stuff. And, you know, it's kind of like when a parent dies, you know what I mean? Like, you'll always remember it, but you kind of just go about life. Like, you know, you kind of just, that was nice. You kind of just go about life, like, you know, like, you don't forget it, but your normalities just start coming back to you and stuff. And I definitely don't think it's as hectic as it was before it, but, you know, not everybody, like, stays the same. You know what I mean? It goes. Not everyone stays the same in the sense of like the unity. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely more of getting back to the normal routine of things, which sucks. But at the same time, it's like I think it does affect some people and does change their perspective, especially people who are who are affected by it, like personally with family members. And I think since there was a lot of people who were affected, I think in some aspect in that area it has helped a little more. I know a lot of people now are definitely way more like, like the fire department has become a way more heroic type of force. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I definitely think in some aspects it helps, but in others it probably hasn't changed people. But I also am very pessimistic with a lot of things, so who knows?
What are some of the other things that you're fed up with?
I'm fed up with a lot of stuff. I mean, there's just a lot of things in this world that people don't seem to get and don't seem to care about, and a lot of the new record is about all these subjects. All these like things that I feel important. Like, there's just a lot of like distrust in this world, and I'm not a political guy, but everything that's just happened over the past 8 years is just it definitely, like when you're the president of your country becomes the laughing stock of the world, it's like you realize that like shit is wrong. You know what I mean? There are fucked up things about this world, and it's definitely, it takes a toll on you touring the world. It takes a toll on you going to your everyday job, knowing that your fucking 401k is, probably diminished, and, your bank's closing down and you're losing all your money. Like, that's all because of mistakes that, arrogant people like George W. Bush, that's all mistakes that were made by someone who just kind of was more of thinking for yourself, you know what I mean? And it's not just one person's fault. I mean, there are people who do things to, destroy another's way of thinking and whatnot. I mean, even just like all the homeless people on the streets and stuff like that. That's all like a bummer to me. And when I see more and more each time I go to the city, it's like, what's being done? You know what I mean? It's definitely a bummer.
What is being done?
Nothing really. I mean, I do my best. I try to give someone money when I see them on the streets and stuff. The thing to me is it's not just major issues that bother me. It's a lot of issues that people just walk by every day that really upset me, like littering and stuff like that. Like, it's just stuff that people know that we need to be more conscious of, and no one really wants to do anything about it because they just feel that like, oh, I'm doing my part, I got a hybrid car, like, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, there's so much more you can do. I'm not saying I'm this militant dude who goes out in, like, Greenpeace and stuff like that. I mean, but, I try to be very precautious of things I do. I try to make sure that I help out anyone I can, and I try, it's just hard when you tour the world so much and you just see a whole bunch of crazy shit. People getting robbed, you know what I mean? Like, people getting jumped at knife point. Like, I've seen some crazy shit, and it's like sometimes you just wonder like what is going to be done to make anything better. So you got to start where you can and try to just branch off of it. Like, I go to the city when I'm home all the time, and I see homeless people, and I try to bring them food with them when I'm done with it. That's like a really big thing too. My thing is do what you can to better everybody's lives, you know what I mean? And if you don't think it helps, you don't do anything about it, and that's fine. That's how people live. But when it comes to stuff like that, I try to be very aware of stuff like that. Try to pick up trash whenever I see it, and I'm definitely one of those dudes who's just so negative about everything and fed up that it's like I have to do that stuff to help me feel better, because not a lot of it's being done,
Words, shout out to Will.
Yeah, I would just like to thank everybody for watching this, and if you want to check out our new record, The Sleeping, What It Takes, will be out February 17th, and you can go to myspace.com/thesleeping and listen to a new song called Bomb the World, and you can listen to a new track on absolutepunk.net called You'll Be a Corpse Before Your Time. So check those two songs out, and I think people will get a sense of where I'm coming from, hopefully with a little bit of distaste for what's going on right now.